So we were talking about honesty, if you're just tuning in, and about that kind of freedom that goes with being at peace and in tune with your truth, because it doesn't require any sort of brain cycles, doesn't require any sort of planning or keeping track of what you said or did or trying to get done, because you can simply be honest. Even if you say, I don't remember, or I may have forgot to do that, which is a place that I am returning to more and more often now. Like, oh, we may have met, or I may know who that person is, or I may have said that, or did I? I honestly don't remember. But if there's a way that I can re-meet you now, or I can send you, if you could send me a note and remind me what it is that I owe you, or at least what you expected me to do, I would like an opportunity to make that better. And if you're upset with me for that, well, then I can't really change that. I didn't intentionally, maliciously do anything wrong. So thanks for the opportunity to make it better. Laura's saying, I wish some of our politicians would practice radical transparency. And man, that is so tough, because every once in a while there'll be a movie where a political candidate will be radically transparent, and the population goes, yay, it's so refreshing, we want to vote for you. But unfortunately, the opposite is often true. Often we crucify people that show vulnerability. There's a reason why politicians never admit wrongdoing, because the consequences of having a soundbite of you saying that you made a mistake or you did wrong historically are worse than the benefits to being honest and admitting that you have faults. It's crazy. It's kind of like how in our country we would rather, historically and by voting and by the way we treat people, we would rather somebody lie and say, I love my wife, and have an affair and lie about it, than have them say, oh, my wife and I have an understanding, we have an open relationship where occasionally we see other people outside of our marriage, and it's all above board and we have open communication. If a politician said that, that's the end of their career. We would rather them lie, and then if they get caught, then they go, oh, that young boy in that bathroom, I thought it was a hand dryer, and I was just shoving my appendages to dry my hands and appendages before I realized that it was a young male prostitute. And, oh boy, I hope the Lord forgives me, and I hope you forgive me. God bless us all. That guy has a better chance of being reelected than the person who says, yeah, my wife has lovers, I have lovers. We have an incredibly tight and deep relationship that is lifelong, that it allows us to be people who have thoughts, human thoughts, that are outside of, I'm going to be with this one person forever. Now, whether or not that's the way you want to have a relationship with your partner, asking us to have the same kind of relationship that you do, and thinking that I'm unfit to be a candidate or a teacher or anything like that because I instead am honest, while everybody in the freaking world knows that they have thoughts that stray every once in a while. But rather than face that, rather than be honest with themselves, they would condemn those that either get caught or willfully expose their differences, their humanness, their honest selves. And that's one reason why it is so, I think, important to ask of yourself, can you be a role model of honesty? Can you be one more example in the world of someone that is at peace with who they are and allows the judgments to come? Because without examples, without role models, it's very scary. And the consequences are greater to those people that allow their truth to shine brightly. I personally have had consequences. There are things that I used to be much more open about that I no longer am because of potential consequences to myself and my family. And that's unfortunate, but it requires kind of a collective cultural evolution that I try to be a part of, but I also know that I have my own fears about that as well. Thank you. I love you. Thank you for shining your light and pursuing your truth and doing the work to tune in and even learning and seeing and hearing what that truth is. The core of your spiritual path is figuring out, what is your truth? What is that desire that you're having? Is that something that's coming from inside you? Or is that some script that you've been given by some external force, some parent, teacher, advertisement? And doing the work and challenging, doing inquiry on those beliefs to figure out, yes, this is me. Or wait a minute, this belief is causing me suffering and it's not even me. I've been taught this without any sort of critical thought or critical analysis of why, where does this come from? Why do I think I need to act this way, be this way, treat people this way? You may get judgment by doing something contrary to what you've been taught. But in that truth is peace. Thank you. I love you. You know, I talk about how my grandpa was such a rich man. You know, he didn't own much at all, but he tried to be in integrity. He tried to be honest and he tried to be loving. And so when it came time to the end of his life, he was at peace. He had nothing undone, nothing unsaid, no one unloved, no conflict. And to see someone at that level of success makes any sort of, Trump Tower seem just ridiculous. I think that people like Trump do sleep fine. They create some crazy, story in their head about what they're here to do. And I wonder how long that charade can keep you in a place of peace. But I know that living in integrity allows you to stay in a state of peace till the very end, till all you have next is the great unknown of death. You'd be like, all right, well, if there's nothing, there's nothing. If there's something, I certainly know that I'm at peace with that too. Narcissism I find something that I used to think about a lot, because people used to always accuse me of being a narcissist as the owner of cockybastard.com and one who puts all sorts of photos and videos and writings of myself online. People who are uncomfortable with that level of self-love and projecting themselves in the world would often attack me as being a narcissist. In fact, just last week, I lost quite a bit of weight from traveling the last month. And so I took some kind of beefcake pictures of me with my shirt off and posted some on Facebook. And I got a comment on one from somebody that I haven't seen since college. And they're like, oh man, 20 years later and you're still showing off your nipple rings. Jeesh. And I was like, really? 20 years of me putting things online, and that is the one thing that you noticed? Well, I wrote this whole big thing out about it, and I was like, really, dude? I mean, I share a lot. I share a lot about charity work. I share a lot about my grandpa and my family, and I share about philosophy, and occasionally I share a picture of myself. And the picture of myself, the first shirtless one that I've shown in 5 years, you're gonna take that opportunity to reach out and rekindle our relationship by trying to make me feel bad about it. And then I deleted that and I said, I hope everything is good in your world. Michael's saying, some people only see the portion of the picture that they want to see. I'm still working on getting to be able to take a shirtless selfie. Michael, I would say all people see what they want to see or what they're able to see. The very nature of being a human being is that we have a limited perspective in time and space. Alan Watts talks about it like there is this one thing that is the universe, and a human is looking at it with a narrow beam flashlight. So you can only see one thing at a time. And so where you place your focus determines your reality. And that reality is then filtered through your judgments and your unresolved beliefs. So if you have a belief that you are vain and arrogant if you expose your skin to the public, then rather you can have two choices when you see me do it. You can challenge that belief and say, maybe that's a silly belief. Maybe we should be able to do whatever we want as long as it's us making that choice and not us being pressured to do it. Or you can keep your worldview and say, what an arrogant asshole. And then you can still feel good about yourself and feel like everyone else who has not that has not fallen into the script that you have been given is doing it wrong. But that's a very stressful way to live, I think. I don't think that's the path to happiness. So as we get close to the end of the broadcast, thank you so much for those of you who tuned in live and those of you who are checking out the archive. Thank you so much for tuning in then. The great thing about Hug Nation is that it does not exist in time or space. It is an intentional gathering that we join by our mere thoughts of wanting to be a part of it. So where we are physically is irrelevant, where we are at time. So you can watch the archive. We're bottling up all the energy of this gathering into this digital bottle, and as you hit play, you pop open the cork and release that energy into your world. If you're listening to the audio podcast, which is available on iTunes, same thing. You are releasing all the energy of this gathering, all the love of the people who've been here and who will continue to tune into this vibration, releasing it into your world, adding your vibration to it for all those that tune in for now and eternity. So thank you for being a part. It is an honor to share this time with you. It is such a critical part of my path. Thank you. I love you.